On today's video, we're going to tell you some of the reasons why people moving to Raleigh, North Carolina have some big regrets. Starting with the first reason, the cost of living is a bit higher than what they expected. Now, do not get me wrong. Raleigh, North Carolina and the surrounding areas have prices that are certainly lower than what you're going to find in a lot of other big cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Boston. But people do tend to have a bit of a culture shock. There's this image that people have in their heads coming here that they can get a sprawling mansion for $100,000. And while you could have gotten a $100,000 house, it was really, really nice back 10, 15, 20 years ago. Today, that's just not a thing in the Raleigh city limits or in the city limits of any of the big cities around Raleigh like Cary, Apex, Holly Springs, Fuquay-Varina, Durham, Chapel Hill. However, that being said, there are still some good values out in some of the suburbs around Raleigh, some of the smaller towns. So we tend to have people come to us asking for our help to buy a house, a good number of them coming from YouTube, so thank you all for doing so. But these folks come to us, they're surprised of where their budget's gonna take them and that they can't really get the home of their dreams in some of the bigger cities. So we have to introduce them to some of the smaller towns out and around Raleigh. And they really are pleasantly surprised what value they get out there. And many, many of those folks that we help buy houses end up moving to some of the smaller towns and cities. So that is certainly a solution. Another big regret and surprise shock that a lot of people get moving here is Raleigh traffic can be a bit of a pain in the butt and a bit of a problem. Now, that being said, we are nowhere near the 2-hour commute you're gonna get in Los Angeles or some of the other big cities, but bottom line, Raleigh is one of the fastest growing cities in the entire country, and it's resulted in the problem that the roads just can't keep up with all the population growth. And unlike a lot of the big cities out there, the traffic congestion isn't just confined to the city centers, the downtowns of the cities. It really even affects the smaller towns of, say, 10,000 people that are sort of surrounding Raleigh that we talked about a minute ago. They are already experiencing some traffic concerns as well. Now, while it's still pretty easy to get from point A to point B in, say, 15 to 30, 35 minutes in the triangle, the Raleigh area, just know that that's a thing, that it gets to be a bit congested and it's something you're gonna have to put up with. They are working on the roads. In fact, I'm almost convinced that the traffic pylons are the official state something of North Carolina anymore. You see these things all over everywhere because road construction is going on all over everywhere, especially in Raleigh. Eventually the roads are gonna get better, but right now we're having to put up with a lot of congestion. Another big regret people have moving to Raleigh, they find it a bit boring. So I'm gonna just cut to the chase. In general, in the triangle, things shut down at 9, 10, maybe 11 o'clock at night. I've told the story before how we were going to the airport to stay in a hotel the night before a early flight out of RDU Airport. And so we got a hotel room. We got really busy with clients, didn't have time to eat dinner at a normal time. And we got to the hotel at about 9 o'clock and we went out looking for late dinner. There was nothing. Nothing was open. Everything was closed around the airport. It was shocking. We ended up having to go to Briar Creek about 15, 20 minutes away, major inconvenience, but it was a shock to us, having lived here in Raleigh for so many years, how things just shut down after a certain period of time. Downtown Raleigh is a little bit different. There's a lot of nightlife in downtown Raleigh, and so you can expect things to stay open a little later there. But let's be frank about this. If you live in North Raleigh or Wake Forest like we do, you ain't driving to downtown Raleigh, 20, 25-minute drive just to eat dinner at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. You're probably going to the 24-hour grocery store, finding something to cook yourself when you get home and all that inconvenience. But anyway, things tend to get shut down at night, something to be prepared for. As well, there's not a lot of the trendy things in the Raleigh area, the triangle, that you would expect in some of the bigger cities. There's no like weird museums where they have bubbles and balloons and stuff. We don't have that stuff here. We have nice stuff, but there's nothing like super cool, trendy, edgy I mean, there's some things, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's not like a common thing. You're going to have to search it out. As well, another thing that people tend to find boring about our area is we don't have an NFL pro team in Raleigh. It's in Charlotte. We don't have Major League Baseball in Raleigh. Rumor has it they're coming, but nothing's confirmed. We don't have Major League Soccer here. You have to go to Charlotte for that. We do have the Carolina Hurricanes NHL professional hockey team, and they are very well supported by our area, but we don't have like all of the cool, trendy other sports like the NFL here. We do also have universities, so you've got NC State, Duke, Carolina, Central, Shaw, etc., that play basketball and football, as well as all the other sports like soccer and hockey and yada, yada, yada. But we don't have like really cool trendy things here. It's something you sort of have to get used to, and you have to sort of search out to find the cool stuff that we do have here. The next thing that people kind of get shocked about and have regrets about moving here is they kind of feel out of place. So Raleigh and the Triangle tend to attract people from all over the country and all over the world. We've got those major universities I spoke about just a minute ago that bring a lot of people in, and they go to school at these universities and they stay here. We also get a lot of people coming in and are attracted to work at the Research Triangle Park. We're one of the highest, most well-regarded and largest research facilities for corporations in the entire country. So a lot of people are coming for that, but it can feel a bit of a culture shock moving here, especially if you're coming from, say, the West Coast with Los Angeles, San Francisco, etc. And just know it does tend to take a little bit of time to get acclimated to the area, to the humidity and the different temperatures we have here. It just takes a little bit of time, but if you give it a shot, most people we hear tend to consider Raleigh home fairly quickly. So just know if you've been here for a couple of months or you're on your way to move here, be prepared. You're going to have a little bit of a culture shock, but give it a little bit of time and you will come to see Raleigh as home. And again, we see so many people that we talk to, that we help buy homes, that are shocked when they get here and feeling out of place, but they very quickly make it themselves home and they find Raleigh to be a great place to live. The next big regret people have is when they experience the summer heat. So we are fairly shocking here. I kind of talked about humidity a second ago, but if you're coming from a temperate climate like, say, Los Angeles or San Francisco, you're going to be fairly shocked at how humid we are here and how warm it gets. We tend to get to the 90s in the summer on a regular basis. Sometimes we inch above 100 a little bit. So it gets to be a bit of a shock to people. We've helped a client just recently who moved from Minnesota, and they're used to those temperatures there, and they were a bit shocked by how warm it was here in the Raleigh area. But again, as with feeling kind of out of place, you end up getting used to the weather very quickly, and you have no desire to ever go back to 42 inches of snow and all of the stuff that goes on in some of the colder climates in the country. The next big regret people have, and this is the one that even I have as a North Carolinian, is dealing with all the pollen and the allergies you experience in North Carolina and especially in the Raleigh area. So we have 6 seasons here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've talked about this before on the channel. Yes, we have spring, summer, winter, fall, but we also have spring allergy, pollen season, and fall pollen allergy season. And that is when you see yellow pollen all over everything. You're sneezing your head off if you're allergic to it. It is a big aggravation. Isabella from our team came to us from Las Vegas, and she was shocked at how she'd grown up her entire life having no allergies, moved here to Raleigh, and she has become like the queen of Claritin when the allergy season hits. She in fact now warns me, allergy season, get your Claritin, and she makes sure I'm taking my Claritin as well. So that is a shock to a lot of people that they have to deal with the pollen, they have to deal with the allergies. Hopefully you're not going to be one of those people, but just something to be prepared for. As you start seeing the yellow haze on cars, know it's time to go to the store and get some allergy meds. The next big regret people have, sprawling suburbs in and around Raleigh tend to make the area feel a bit cookie cutter. So frankly, there's a bit of a lack of character in a lot of the neighborhoods and towns in and around Raleigh. While this isn't necessarily a bad thing for people that have come from an area where there's lots of diversity of homes, I'm thinking of like Boston, Massachusetts, it can be a bit of a shock here that a lot of homes are built looking fairly homogeneous and fairly the same. We've held quite a few clients moving from out of state to our area that are looking for new construction homes. And unfortunately, most new construction homes tend to look fairly homogeneous, fairly the same. And that's a bit of a shock to a lot of people. And it's just something you have to be prepared for. You can definitely use color and selection of different floor plans to make things look varied, but just something to be prepared for is we tend to be a little bit cookie cutter in our new construction. As well, some of our cities like Holly Springs and Morrisville have kind of grown up out of nothing. And so all of their downtowns and all of their neighborhoods and all their shopping centers in some of these newer suburbs tend to be fairly bland and homogeneous. They're sort of all following a formula. So just know that if you move to one of the cities that have sort of sprung up and grown up very quickly in the recent years, you're probably going to find it very difficult to tell if you're in one part of town or the other part of town because things can be a little bit bland. And by the way, just to let you know, I've said it a little bit in this video, but these are regrets people have. But know that most people that we deal with, very few of them ever want to move away once they move here to Raleigh. Very quickly, they get acclimated to the area, they fall in love with the area, they have absolutely no regrets once they move here. But initially, this list that we're giving you are some things that people regret once they initially move here, but once they're here a few months, they end up loving it. Another big regret that people have when they first move here is there's just too many trees. This is something that Tanner, the co-owner of our Morton Bradbury real estate group and of this channel, experienced when he moved from Los Angeles. There's not as many lush vegetation and trees there. And there's a lot of like lights in the city, easy to navigate around, light poles everywhere. Here in the Raleigh area, we don't have that. You could go down a secondary road and it'd be pitch black dark at night and you're fearful that you're going to run off the road if you're not really, really careful. So there's not a lot of like lighting overall everywhere. And with the trees, it's even worse. They sort of cover over the road and even blocks out things like the moon at times. So it's just something to be aware of. However, most people like the trees. It's definitely a great area to go hiking and biking and whatnot and go enjoy the parks here in the Raleigh Triangle area. Just know that if you are feeling claustrophobic because of the trees, it's something you will get over and you'll learn to appreciate them. We have so many people saying how they absolutely love our area because there's so many trees and it's so green compared to where they come from. But just know initially you're going to have some trouble navigating around more than likely. And another big shock and regret that a lot of people have is things just tend to move slower here. There's definitely a southern lifestyle pace of life here in the Raleigh area. Things just move slower than in a lot of places in the country. This results in traffic congestion that moves a bit slower than what you would expect. It's very, very frustrating. People sort of zone out and are moving really, really slow. Coming as a local, it aggravates me. So I can imagine people moving in from the area from fast moving hustle and bustle area like New York City or Los Angeles. They got to really be shocked about it. And restaurants tend to be slower. It's something you sort of almost expect when you put your order in. You're not going to get quick service. People just kind of move slower here. It's just part of the culture. And so if you're a person who's go, type A personality, you're probably not going to like it here. And again, even I get frustrated every now and again, and I was born and raised here. The good news is there is a lot of pluses to living a slower lifestyle. It's definitely better for your well-being and the quality of life you experience. People tend to be happier long-term here and a lot less angry than they were back in the big city of New York or Los Angeles or wherever. So again, I have to stress, most people when they move here and get used to being here, love Raleigh, but these are just some regrets that people have when they early move on into the area, and something you need to be prepared for if you're thinking about making a move. And by the way, if you are considering a move to the Raleigh area, my real estate team and I would be honored to help you out. You can contact us at the information below, and we will get things started helping you find your next dream home. Check out this video. We think you're really going to like this one as well. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.